And Jessica looks like Heather Locklear. You want to know who I get all the time? My husband never takes me anywhere. Ever, ever, ever. I get fucking Roseanne Barr. Very flattering. Very flattering. So I am a Gold Star lesbian. Thank you for my service. Does anybody know what that is? You look like breeders to me. You probably don't. Okay. Here we go. I am a Gold Star lesbian. That means I have never slept with a dude. Okay? But riddle me this, Batman. How is it true that I have also had 2 dicks in me at the same time? These things are both true. Think, think, think. I have 22-year-old twin boys. They were in there for 9 months. I don't recommend it. 0 stars. All right. I don't know, you guys might notice, I'm also biracial. I am 1/2 Japanese, 1/4 German, and 1/4 Swedish. I am like sashimi with a side of schnitzel, okay? I am Asian, but I am just white enough to be aging poorly. There's not a lot I can do about that. I'm also an immigrant, not born here in the USA. Gotta tell you, with the new management in town, being a lesbian, being an immigrant, little nervous. So, as I mentioned, I'm an immigrant. I've been doing a lot of stress eating. I've been eating all the dogs and all the cats. You guys, I had an everything beagle for breakfast. It was delicious. I'm gonna have a catty melt for lunch, you see? Anyway, so yeah, it's been a little nuts. Recently, thank goodness it doesn't seem like most of you were affected, but in LA, we had like a really hot January, you know what I mean? It was really insane. And it's funny how like the fires kind of brought out the best in the people from Southern California and the worst in the people everywhere else, okay? It was suggested that we had a flawed response to the fires because of our woke ways, you know? And the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department is a lesbian named Christina. And there are 2 other lesbians named Christina in top management at the fire department. And people were like saying, what are they doing over there at the LAFD? Are they recruiting from their dating pool? Now, if you were to see a picture of these 3 gals, I don't know if they'd be in the same dating pool. They might be in the same bowling league, but not in the same dating pool. Coincidentally, 3 lesbians named Christina is the title of my college memoir. Christina was my first love. Christina was my rebound. And Christina left me to go coach basketball at UConn. No, not too many women's basketball fans here. Shocking! Shocking. So my partner Susan is here. Yes, Susan. Yeah, we have been together for 31 years. Go figure, right? Go figure. And it's really funny when I speak to these younger lesbians, you know, I like to call them little baby dykes, and and I tell them that Susan and I have been together longer than they have been alive. And they always have this reaction, and I kind of always want to go, that's right, me and Miss Susie, we lit out across the prairie in a covered Subaru. We had a lard and a bacon, and there was nary a carabiner to be found. And we made it to California, you know. We've been here ever since, you know. And these young ladies, they always ask me, like, what is the secret to having a long relationship? Number 1, there's just 2 of us. We're not poly, we're not in a polyglobule or a throuple or anything bananas like that. And I thought about it, and the truth of the matter is, I think our secret is appreciation. because, you know, I try to always appreciate the things she does for me and her characteristics, and that can lead to a successful relationship. Appreciation is something we always try to drill into the heads of our two boys, you know? Like, you might not like the meal, but you will have appreciation for the person who prepared it, okay? I'm gonna give you an example. Susan here loves Brussels sprouts. I think they smell like farts, because they do. I mean, well, actually, that's not true. I will eat a Brussels sprout if you deep fry it. I'd probably eat a dick if you deep fry it. You never know. You know, and when Susan and I first got together, you might have thought we were a bit of an odd couple. You can see here, Susan is a very white lady. She is very white. She's all of the Sherwin-Williams paint chips of white. She is gypsum, she is coffee cream, she is dinner plate. She is a wasp. She is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. But it did work out between the two of us because Susan is what we used to refer to in the gay community as a rice queen. You may be able to figure that out from context clues. It means she has a bit of an Asian fetish, okay? And it worked out. It's so bananas. It worked out because, don't tell anybody, but I have a little bit of a colonizer kink myself. So sometimes she'll come home from work and we might do a little, you know, just a little fun, just a little John Smith and Pocahontas, you know? She comes in and I'm like, you think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. Are there no Disney adults in here? I am very disappointed. Who voiced John Smith in the 1992 Disney animated classic Pocahontas? Mel Sugar Tits Gibson! That is correct. Oh, he lost his house in the fires. Oh, it's so sad. It's so very sad. Trump is my daddy. Daddy Trump is here. You know, it's like, you know, that icon of diversity, inclusion, and equity, Mel Gibson. The Jews control the weather. Anyway, Susan and I were very, very disappointed. We heard the Trump administration is considering eliminating daylight savings time, you guys. After 31 years, that is our lovemaking schedule. Twice a year, no matter what. She springs forward, I fall back. It works. It works for the two of us, you know. So, Susan and I had quite the journey to becoming parents. As Jess mentioned, I don't know why everything is a journey now, like we're all Frodo Baggins or something, but we were on a journey. And we went through 5 rounds of IVF, okay? Don't worry, this is not going to turn into a TED Talk or anything like, you know, health class. But I was diagnosed with a condition called incompetent cervix, okay? And in my cervix's defense, I think it was merely misinformed, okay? Because what happens is the human body goes, oh, this is what a baby weighs, time to go. And if you have multiples, that's a really, really big problem. And we had a very tragic outcome. So it is also the way that you know, it is the men who write the medical journals. I give you erectile dysfunction, incompetent cervix. I mean, dysfunction just sounds like if you smack the side of it and turn it off and on a couple of times, it might start working again. Incompetence is a little judgmental in my estimation, you know. So the time we did it with the IVF, when it worked, we were tremendously conservative for the time. We only transferred 3 embryos. The doctor pulled me aside, he says, one of the embryos is the very best embryo I ever made. You know, like the expensive eggs at Whole Foods, okay? And the other 2 were, as the young people like to say, mid, okay? They were okay, right? So we threw those up there, we hoped for the best, went back for an ultrasound, and it was at that point we were well and truly fucked. Because every single embryo implanted and 2 split. Who's good at math? Mary was pregnant with a basketball team. This was a big problem. You know, the truth of the matter is I never would have survived delivering quintuplets, and if any of those babies had survived, I probably would have left 1 or 2 in a hot car at some point. Not really good at math. Thank you. Are we gonna draw the line there? Because I got some more for you. Anyway, so I was lucky because I live here in California. I had access to tremendous health care, unlike 1/3 of our sisters around the country. And I underwent something called a selective reduction. Because of the timing, they did it on Halloween, okay? And they strapped me to this table that rotated 360 degrees. I was the Dyke of Frankenstein at that point. And I was tremendously lucky. It worked. I gave birth to 2 very healthy boys. You know, but the whole process, I have to really be honest with you, seriously, it left me with an intrusive thought. You know, an intrusive thought is something you can't get out of your head, like after 20 years, you know? I keep it just coming back to me and back to me. And the thought is, I don't know if they left the best 2 ones in there. You know what I'm saying? If you could see my knuckle draggers, you might agree. They're not even gay, for Christ's sake. I took them to all the brunches. RuPaul, nothing, you know? It's not a choice. Anyway. So there I was, you know, a mother, and like from the minute I did get pregnant, it was like an MMA cage match right up in here, you know. They were just like, you know, kicking me in all of my vital organs, and when they started breathing air, it really didn't get much better. And it was at this point in motherhood, I realized the design flaw in cribs, you know. Both of my kids were really sort of physically advanced, and you know, my son crawled out of the crib at like 10 months. And so what I would do is I would creep down the hall and I would put him, and I was laying down in his bed for nap time. I would turn around, walk down the hall, I would look back down the hall, and he was crawling at me like the girl from The Ring, you know, like Samara, you know, and I would be like, God damn it, I just put that thing away, you know? And so, you know, the design flaw is what a crib lacks is a lid, okay? Like some sort of heavy locking device. Think about it, dog crate, 4 sides, crib, 3 sides, you know? Maybe something with a key fob, you know? Boop, boop. Mommy's off for mani-pedi, gotta bounce, you know? And then the other thing that was going on when my kids were little, I had a lot of stuff going on. I was working full-time at the Wall Street Journal. I was taking care of my 80-year-old mother. I had these 2 little gremlins to keep breathing. So I required help, okay? So I put an ad for a nanny in Craigslist, because back then it was safe. And I would get these resumes from these young ladies. They would all send me resumes. Most were fine, it worked great, most were fine. Then every once in a while, I would get a saucy email address from one of these gals, you know? Something like bjbetty6969 at yahoo.com. My favorite was teabagmetrojan at usc.edu. Or cassieuptheassy at gmail.com. Listen, I do not make judgments about anybody's sexual proclivities. Enjoy yourself, I'm sure you're very talented. I don't care if these young women have the capability of sucking the varnish off of a bedpost, okay? That's an okay term. Listen, if you don't have the brains to change your email address while applying to take care of my children, I I don't know if you're going to be good in an emergency, and email addresses are free. Are they not? Okay. So some of you guys are cheerleader moms, so you know we were sports, okay? And what people don't realize when your kids get into competitive sports, and I'm sure it's exactly the same way, is just how horrifying it can be. And I took my kids to like every practice, every game, every tournament, and every time we went, I was secretly praying for them to lose. And I'll tell you why, you're gonna understand this, okay? Because what happens when you win? You got your quarters, you got your semis, you got your finals. The longer they win, the longer the season lasts. You know what I mean? And what happens when they win the finals? You get to take a group of rabid 11-year-olds to Las Vegas. I would rather blow Mitch McConnell than do that. Again, it was freaking awful, you know? So now we have these two boys, they're both in college. I got one kid, he's up at UC Santa Barbara. He's a himbo. He's not a bimbo, he is a himbo. He is living his best life. He joined a fraternity. If you were to see his Instagram, you may think he was a double major. Pussy and cannabis studies. Makes a mom proud. And then I have this other kid, and he is at Pomona. He is at Honors College. He is the undergraduate editor, he's the editor of the Undergraduate Journal of Political Science. He has a giant water bottle in his room full of change, like an 85-year-old man. That kid is a dork, okay? Now, I had the himbo and I had the dork. They were extracted from my midsection 30 seconds apart in Santa Monica, California. And that is how you know, ladies and gentlemen, astrology is bullshit, okay? Those kids are not alike. And I hope you can appreciate how brave I am saying this in a room in California, okay? Because there's Stevie Nicks looking bitch back there manifesting my demise. For real. Right now. Okay. So I'm going to ask your consent on this one. I did get it from my son first, but would you like to hear the most horrifying lesbian mom story ever? Ever! Okay? Partner and I went out to dinner at lovely Italian restaurant, checkered tablecloths, Godfather music. We ordered some carpaccio, which is delicious. I don't know if you guys know what it is, but it's like thinly sliced beef, marinated. And, and I get a phone call, and my son is FaceTiming me. This kid never FaceTimes me ever, okay? And I'm like, what is it? I'm eating, and he's like, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm like, what? He goes, I hurt myself. And I'm like, okay, like I start paying attention. I'm like, oh my God, like what happened? And he goes, I tore my foreskin having sex. Oh my God. So the first thing I say is like, okay, how bad is it? How bad is it? And he goes, it's like a puzzle piece. And I go, oh my God, a puzzle piece? Rhode Island or Texas? How big a puzzle piece, And he goes, just a puzzle piece. He didn't think it was funny. I thought it was hysterical myself, but anyway. And then I go, okay, please, what happened? Tell me what happened. And he goes, I was with Barb. Guys, this is when I started spinning out. Because what 21-year-old is named Barb, for Christ's sake? Like, who is Barb? Is she some VFW cocktail waitress from, like, India with her, like, cigarette-stained hands touching my baby Buddha? No. And so this is it. Oh, my God. This is the most horrifying thing I've ever had to do. I said to him, I had to ask my 22-year-old son for a dick pic. I am a mommy. I have to look at the owie. It is in my job description. So he sends me this picture, and this is the funniest part. He has it wrapped like he's some Civil War amputee. Like, you know, like from some really depressing Ken Burns documentary, you know? And like, clearly this shit is not in my wheelhouse, okay? So I had to Google it. Apparently all you have to do is like keep it clean, a little Neosporin, you know, you're good to go. And there's a PSA for any uncut gems in the audience.